your life for the better if you decide to do so. That's my topic. And I have been talking a little bit about New Thought the last couple of weeks. So we're going to do a review. Fortunately, we have some ringers in the crowd. To my knowledge, we have a minimum of 2 Unity ministers. Plus we've got Kathleen, who knows everything since the Vedas were invented. So, we got a really talented crowd here today. So let's just do a quick review. Just so everybody knows, I came this week to practice my visual aids. So if it doesn't work, it's not that I didn't practice. Let's just see if we can do a review. 2 large religions or fellowships are under the New Thought umbrella. Now, what are those 2 fellowships?
Science.
Unity.
Okay.
Okay. And
Science of
mind, also known as Church of Spiritual Living, and it has a couple of names, so it is confusing, and that's okay, because we're very smart. Centers for Spiritual Living, founded by Ernest Holmes, and then, of course, Unity, which we know, the Fillmores. And we learned in one of my talks, or I learned, I hope you learned, that they are first cousins, and that they have a lot of similarities. And one of them is that we are all one, as we know that. And another similarity is that we practice affirmations, meditation, and a type of prayer called affirmative prayer. So we all remember that. And also we all remember, what religion was I brought up?
Catholic.
Catholic. So there's a word up here that says practical spirituality. Catholicism, practical spirituality. Okay. I think New Thought is more practical than Catholic. Let's just leave it at that. We're not going to get into a lot of detail on Catholicism. We do have a photo, however, of me in my Catholic garb. That is my brother Don. He's celebrating his confirmation, because you always wear white for the communion. I think this is a confirmation garb. This is me in New York with my brother. And as you know, I started my life in New York, and then we got moved to Ohio. I tell everybody I'm from Ohio. So when I use the word practical, practical to me is sensible, it's workable, we can apply it. And that's what, for me, New Thought has been. I can apply it. I can relate to it. When I come to a service and I hear all of us and be together in fellowship and I hear our speakers, it makes sense to me. It's like, okay, it's practical. Having said that, it's now time for a story, a Catholic story. This story is called, Give Us This Day Our Daily Chicken. Sounds good. An executive from Tyson Foods, Tyson makes chicken, arranges to visit the Pope. After receiving the papal blessing, he whispers, "Your Eminence, we have a deal for you. If you change the Lord's Prayer from give us this day our daily bread to give us this day our daily chicken, Your Eminence, we'll donate $50 million to the church." And the Eminence is like, "No, that's impossible. This is the Lord's Prayer and it must never be changed." Well, they go off and have a drink together. The Tyson man says to the Eminence, "Okay, we're prepared to donate $1 billion to the church if you change it to give us this day our daily chicken." The Eminence is like, "Nah, that's just not possible. This is the Word of God and it must not be changed." The Tyson gentleman finally says, "This is our last offer, Your Eminence. We will donate $5 billion because this will change our whole world in the chicken industry. We are going to give you $5 billion. Pope walks away. The next day, the Pope meets with the College of Cardinals to say he has some good news and some bad news. He says the good news is that the church is going to come into $5 billion. The bad news is we're going to lose the Wonder Bread account. skeptical as well, as we are, in the right times. Today I'm going to introduce us to my teacher. Now, I never met the gentleman. He passed away in, I think, 1988. His name is Raymond Charles Barker. He was well, let me read a little bit about him. His biography is on the back of this book. Dr. Barker received his ministerial training at the Unity School of Christianity in Lee Summit, Missouri in 1940. He then became affiliated with religious science at the request of Dr. Ernest Holmes. And he eventually opened the first church of religious science in New York in 1946. So that's Dr. Barker. Dr. Barker, one of his students was Louise Hay, among many others. So again, we've been saying this, unity, religious science, we're all under this same umbrella, and they all many of them hung out with each other and knew each other very well. So let's talk about Dr. Barker. Down to earth, the reason I like him, he studied, of course, under Ernest Holmes. And Ernest Holmes has a big textbook called The Science of Mind, which, if you have trouble sleeping, is pretty good. I mean, it's a textbook. It's a textbook. So Dr. Barker has taken that teaching, and he's made it, he talks to us. And so this is my travel book. Now, you know you like a book. Look at this. You know you really love a book. This is the same book. First edition, I've had this about 25 years. Then second edition, and then latest edition. Now, why do I keep buying these books? Well, I give them away, and then also, I like a brand, like this is my oldest one, and I actually took a class with an instructor who taught it. So it's all noted up and all yellowed up. So then I like to start with a brand new book, and then it's like, I'm learning all brand new things. So, makes sense to me. I see you think I'm crazy.
We know.
Or you know I'm crazy.
But that's why we love you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I surprised myself. So we're going to talk about Dr. Barker today and learn what he said. This statement is right out of page 8 out of the book. And I think it's so true. It's like, this is why we come. This is what this teaching's about. It's like, we can make our life better. We can be happier. We can be more prosperous. We can have more friends. You can always have more friends. You can always have more money. The gentleman I studied with, he said, life's expensive. Get out there and get some money. So, I mean, he was a practical, New Thought teacher. It made sense to me. And Dr. Barker says, you just have to apply yourself. And the question is, what spiritual means do we employ? That's the question. And everybody's welcome to follow their own path and pick the spiritual means that works for us. Singing might work for some, meditating is great for others, walking in the park, a friend of mine who comes here loves her photography. It's how you get your awareness. It's how you get your better self. So I'm going to give 3 examples of how I get my better self. Number 1 is I develop my tribe, and I'll talk about that. Number 2 is I'm all about reading books and listening to tapes and podcasts. And number 3 is I practice affirmations. So let's start with develop my tribe. I'm going to introduce you to my spiritual guru. He's about 20 years younger than I am. His name is Darren. Darren and I have been friends for 27 years. He's temporarily on assignment in Boston, so I'm eating a lobster roll with him this summer. So that's Darren. That's me and my boyfriend, Darren. So this is under developing my tribe. Develop your fellowship, and that's what this group's about. And that's why we all love to come and see each other on Sunday. We like people come in, we're wayfarers, new people come, and it's just a great way of getting with like-minded people, because that's how we support each other. And I've always enjoyed being with other New Thought people because, well, we're practical and we're relating to each other. I had a job at Sun Trust Bank, Mimi's daughter works there, as a consultant a couple of years ago. And they were like, oh yeah, this is a very big job, or this is a very important job, we're going to pay you a lot of money. Oh, okay, fine. So I'm there for like about a month. and I got paid a lot of money, and I did nothing. They sat us in a room, and we had to look busy. And I was having to come home on Friday and get massages for my neck because I was so tense. Because for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 4 days a week, I was sitting there acting busy. So about after a month of this, I went to the leader and I said, this isn't working for me. When am I going to get some work to do? Oh, you look good. You sit there. I'm like, no, So, they were not applying my services, so I was bored. So I was anxious about it. I called Darren. I did not call Rebecca, because Rebecca would have said, keep the job. So, I knew not to call her. Sit down, drink coffee, relax, and, consult. I called Darren, and Darren said, he's a member of my tribe. He's like, Dee, let it go. Let it go. I was like, wow. Everybody else is saying, just take the money and sit there. My tribe member said, let it go. And then he gave a reason. He said, Dee, you're holding on. You're holding on so tight. And when you hold on so tightly, nothing else can come in. And you certainly are going to be able to get another job. Go home, relax in the mountains, and something else will come. He said, but you have to open your hands. I was like, wow, what a great tribe member. And I actually keep a journal as well, and this is from my journal of that time. Open your hands, Darren told me. Pretty powerful having a great tribe member. The second thing I like to do in my spiritual journey, because like all of us, I've had all kinds of exciting opportunities to grow and to fight, and to be a happier self. As most of you know, I am gay, and I was gay when I was born. And I grew up in the 50s and 60s. So, just imagine, that's just one little thing you might want to overcome, And my parents were Catholic, and they had their ideas about things. So, you have to Lovely people. We'll have their pictures next. Not this week. They're not this week. I've already mentioned Temple Hayes. Several of us use the free online meditation from Oprah and Deepak. And if Oprah married Deepak, she'd be Oprah Chopra. You heard it from me first. It could happen. And then we have Louise Hay, and then we have David Alt. David Alt is the religious science minister in Atlanta. David Alt studied with Louise Hay. So I've been listening to some of his podcasts because, as you know, Louise Hay died recently. She passed away, and that reminds me of a story. So Louise Hay died of natural causes. So these rich people from Atlanta, these executives from Atlanta, had a relative in Tennessee. So they went up to the funeral in Tennessee, and the kind of well-to-do people from Atlanta were talking to their relatives, and they were saying, now how did Aunt Maggie die? What did she die of? And they said, she died of a Tuesday. She died of a Tuesday. Louise Hay died of natural causes. The aunt died of a Tuesday. You don't have to die of something. It's just the whole mentality of thinking about, we can live a good life. And Louise Hay, every time she would go into a new century, she'd be like, a new decade, she'd say, this is going to be the best decade yet. 60, this is going to be the best, and then 70, this is going to be the best decade yet. And then 80, I'm expecting to have my best decade yet. She was so positive, and just lived a happy life and a joyful life and taught so many of us. And Louise Hay is like one of my big-time favorites. And her books, back to Darren. Darren would go to all the used bookstores and buy this book. It's been out for like 30 years. And he would buy these used books and give them to everybody. Isn't that great? And he gave me one. And that's how Darren and I started being friends. And then this is a Louise Hay meditation book. I like this one. This is simple and easy, and it's just very positive. I just feel like I know Louise. I don't know if she thinks she knows me, but I feel like I know this. So the third tip I'm going to talk about is I practice affirmations. And Kathleen last week did a great talk for us, and it should be and will be, if it's not already, up on,
It is.
it is, great. And Kathleen spoke about I am, and the importance of I am. Whatever follows I am. Well, Kathleen, can you tell us again what you said?
Sure.
Kathleen?
Sure, good morning.
Use the pro.
Thank you, Dee. Whatever words follow the words I am, we create our own experience, because the I is the one. The Roman numeral represents the oneness, the unity, the only power, the only presence that we are. So we stand in that firmly as one, connected, and we affirm, I am all that is positive, a pure radiant light, a simple expression of God, the oneness that flows through me as me every moment. And that's all I see. So it's just to activate your life, and you can fake it until you make it. And because the subconscious remembers everything as if it's real. So that's pretty much it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I made some notes from the newsletter that Mimi said, but what you taught us last week, and I'm going to read that too. Thank you. We may be guilty of using words like I am so tired. Change this consciousness statement to I notice my body is requiring more rest. So it's a way of acknowledging that you may be wore out, but you don't walk around saying I'm tired. You acknowledge what physiological things are going on. You said try talking to your subconscious level using your divinity of true self. I am full of energy. I am full of health. I am a divine being. I'm expressing myself in wisdom and fulfillment. And your challenge to us was to work on I am this week. And I have been working on it. And I brought some affirmations to hand out to everybody today so we can practice our I ams together. So my 3 tips for spiritual were, what was my number 1?
Tribe.
What was my number 2?
Podcast.
Podcast, educating. We got to do something for ourselves. And my number 3 was the
Affirmations.
Right. Here's Louise Hay. Every thought we think is creating our future. Every thought we think is creating our future. So Dr. Barker says that this teaching is not for the timid. He says this science is not for the timid. It is for the daring. Because we take responsibility for our thoughts. So if things aren't going exactly the way we want, we have to look back in the mirror and say, what have we been thinking? How are we doing on this? Now, it hasn't been a great week on CNN for me. I'm not going to go into it in a lot of detail, but the world is feeling a little messy to me. I'll just say to me. So I wanted to see what Dr. Barker had to say about it. Dr. Barker, and I thought this line was great, right out of his book. Dr. Barker says, you are equipped to live healthy in a healthy society. And he wrote this in the 1950s. Unfortunately, history has never provided us with a healthy society. So you have to work in the world in which you are.
Okay.
Dr. Barker has hit it on the head. So things are not going great on CNN this week. So I take heart in reading this statement from Dr. Barker, which is you've got to make it work in the world you're in, Dee, because this is the world you're in. So I'm working to find my own joy. I'm pulling myself away from the television, because I must admit, I never used to be so, I got hooked. I'm pulling myself away. I'm watching the baseball games, which I don't usually watch. I'm just getting some diversions, trying to take more walks with my dog, because this is the world I'm in, and I'm responsible for my happiness, and I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I love this next statement also from Raymond Charles Barker, and you have the right to expect results from your spiritual practice. He's telling us, find your spiritual practice, and you have the right to expect it's going to work, because it's a spiritual law inherent. and it's going to be fulfilled. You have to work on we have to work on our affirmations. We have to believe they're happening now. We have to accept if they don't happen, that is some sort of a divine law. We have to be okay with that. But for the most part, it's just knowing that we can take responsibility for it. And my next statement is, your spiritual thinking changes you. It does not change the world. It changes us. It doesn't change other people. It changes you. And that is all that needs to be changed, is our own consciousness. And that's a tough one to get into our heads as well. So in my wrap-up, what I'm going to do is ask everybody to read an affirmation with me, and then I'm going to toss it back to Joyce, who's going to take us through a brief meditation in wrapping up, and then she's going to read the daily word, and after she does that, then Laura will all gather around and do our peace song. So let me give you each, I made an affirmation for everybody from a parting gift. Everybody gets a parting gift. Here we go. Dr. Raymond Charles Barker, parting gifts. And I'm going to ask you all, if you would kindly to stand, and I'll tell you, we're going to read the affirmation.